everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the second event of the semester, the Alumni panel. Today we'll be joined by some really amazing artists who are all graduates of, Columbia. Our next speaker is Carlos, who was, I think, the most previous president. I know that for a fact. I don't know. I said I think. He was unable to make it live, so we recorded a virtual Q&A with some of the same questions that we've been asking the other alumni.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks,
my name is Carlos Douglas Jr. I graduated from Columbia in May of 2020. I'm a 2D animator, and I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in Traditional Animation.
Thank you so much. So first question, what has the journey been like after college?
The journey has been very interesting and unorthodox, to say the least. Once I graduated, I was still working at my part-time job at a bakery. And, I still had the bug to keep animating and keep working on things. But once you leave college, you sort of lose the structure of, having assignments due and these expectations for what you're supposed to have week by week. So you're pretty much sent out on your own. And of course, I graduated in May of last year. So with COVID happening, it's been a very interesting way to start, adulthood and adulting, I guess. But I left my retail job and I decided to try and find a job in the animation industry. And, that was without any, that was pretty much, I had a certain amount of money saved up. I thought I was ready. And I just took that leap of faith. I figured that was going to be it. And I ended up going back to the bakery 2 months later. I had 2 opportunities for jobs and they just didn't end up working out. Other animators were selected. And it was of course a little disappointing to me, but that just shows it wasn't my time. I'm still keeping creative and working on a personal project of my own. So, things like that, just keeping yourself busy and keeping yourself motivated to pursue that dream and to keep creating art. It's really important once you graduate, because once you're out on your own, the journey is yours. You pretty much have to pave that path on your own. So it's been interesting.
Yeah, and going off of that, what is the most unexpected part of the post-graduation life?
It's having more free time. You have a lot more time in your day than you might give yourself credit for. I was really overwhelmed at the beginning of July when I was just, okay, well, now I'm off on my own. I have a lot of things that I want to get done. I want to apply for jobs. I want to do art on the side. I want to continue networking with people. And you'd be surprised how much you can get done in a day when you schedule it properly. And I think just to piggyback off of what I said earlier, you lose the structure of being at a college once you're out on your own, but it's like you create your own schedule. That's what you're there for. It's like, if you have a part-time job, once you come home, if there's things you want to get done, you do have time in a lot of situations, but you just have to create that schedule for yourself, because, you're removing one aspect of your life, which is, doing homework and studying and that sort of thing. And you just have to create that on your own, but you can find time for that. That's where I've been at recently.
What's a piece of advice you would give to graduating students?
Network like crazy. You're graduating with so many fellow artists and creatives that are working on their own projects, and they have their own goals and dreams. And a lot of us, we have certain disciplines that aren't common with other friends that we may have. And when you're at college, especially a college like Columbia, the networking aspect is vital, in my opinion. No matter if you're introverted or extroverted, you've got to put yourself out there. People should know about the things that you're doing, and you have this network of people that you can work on projects with. You can get advice from, just forming friendships, that sort of thing. You can do all of that when you're in school, but once you're out of school, sometimes it can be a little bit more difficult, especially in an age like 2020, 2021, when you have a pandemic happening. You're not necessarily meeting people every single day like you used to. So you really do have to utilize the things that you have at your disposal. Like if you're not on social media, utilize emails and LinkedIn, those sort of things. Like you can find ways to get in contact with people that are also doing something that can possibly help you out, or, just it gives you the opportunity to form a network of friends and colleagues. And I think at Columbia, when I was there, I tried to do that as soon as I realized the importance of networking. For a while, when I first got to Columbia my freshman year, I was very introverted, and that was piggybacking off of a high school of me being introverted as well. I didn't put myself out there. I was very shy about my artwork and my creative life. I also had a small group of friends, and with that, I felt content. And there's nothing wrong with having a small group of friends. Like it's great. But when you're working in a creative field, a lot of times you can't do everything on your own. Whether you're going to be in film or TV or wherever you plan to utilize your animation skills, one thing to keep in mind, animation is an extremely complex and collaborative art piece. And it requires so many disciplines. Like you have writers, you have artists, you have musicians, and they all come together to create a single piece, and that requires a lot of teamwork, and it requires knowing people, and that sometimes means you have to put yourself out of your comfort zone. But it really does pay off just to approach people like human beings, because they all are. Like you'd be surprised if you ask and you may receive. Like if I've messaged some people who have been working in the animation industry, and this was during my undergrad. I was, networking with people at Columbia, but also reaching out to alumni, just emailing them, saying hi, and just catching up with them, congratulating them on their line of work, saying that you're a fan, those sort of things. It really does pay off. And I'll say, if you're an introvert, sometimes that can be difficult. And I know there's a lot of artists who would consider themselves to be introverts, so that can be really scary. I would say best thing you can do, just reach out, practice it as much as you can with sending emails. Get amazing at writing emails. That's another thing too. And if you don't want to, there's two ways you can approach it. You can email people, and I would say that's more of the formal way. Or if you find somebody on Instagram or Facebook, you may also want to reach out to them too. It's a little less informal, I would say, or a little less formal. I'm sorry, but there's multiple ways you can go about it. But I would say just practice while you're in school, and especially network with your peers, because I feel like they may be the ones you're more comfortable speaking with, since you're all in the same boat and you're all trying to produce a line of work, and you're going towards the same goal, getting that sheet of paper at the end of the 4 years. So network. That is the biggest piece of advice I can give.
That is great advice. Yeah, thank you. The next question is, what's one class or like one lesson at Columbia that really helped prepare you for the post-graduation life?
Julian Grant's Business of Animated Content class, for sure. That's the first thing that came to mind. I am I would say, like, when I was at Columbia, Julian, he was somebody that I really looked up to. I would show him like pieces of my work outside of the classwork too, just to show him that I'm staying active with my art outside of just doing homework and keeping with that schedule. But I would say that he taught me so much about the field that I want to go into. I want to be a producer of animation, producer, director. And that class, it single-handedly gave me so much industry forward information, things that I wasn't necessarily learning in other classes because that's not what the classes are geared towards. And that that really helped me to establish my portfolio, because we all have different work and things that we want to do with our jobs in animation. Like if you want to be a layout artist, or if you want to be a character model, or like, those are all, they're all different disciplines. And it's a thing that I learned when I got into his class is that you have to make sure that your portfolio is geared towards what you want. With me being a producer, a class like Business of Animated Content is perfect, because when you go into that class, you learn about creating an animated series or film or piece of media from start to finish. And that's a producer's job. So when I got into that class, I mean, I enrolled in that class with the intention of learning about producing for animation. And what a great professor to teach that class. I mean, he really gave me the foundation for the things I need to look for and correct on myself too, like my perspective on producing animation before that class and after the class are complete contrasts. So that was a huge class for me. Like I would say that that's probably one of the heavyweight classes that I took. And I think that that was a great class for myself. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that's a great class for everyone, because again, we all have different things that we want to do with our careers. So to build off of that question, the biggest lesson that I learned is to create, you have to know your discipline. So if you know that you're really good in a certain area, go headstrong into that area and build it up as much as you can, because that's going to be a very important thing for you, and important for you while you're at school, while there's so many different courses you can take.
Yeah, what a great class with such a great professor.
Yeah.
The next question is, how do you handle expectation versus reality when it comes to post-graduation life? And how do you push through when things don't turn out the way you expected them to?
Things will not turn out the way you expected them to. No matter how much you want it, a lot of times you're going to have to jump over some hurdles in the meantime. Like I mentioned earlier, I quit my job because I thought that that was going to be the end all be all for me. I was ready. I mean, I knew that if I just take this leap of faith, I'm going to learn something by the end of it. And it didn't end up working out. So I am taking that with a grain of salt. I know that leaving the job, it was risky. It was I guess I could say brave, but it's also like, I mean, you're losing out on a paycheck and that sort of thing, and steady source of income. And I took that leap. That was my expectation of getting a job. Reality, you're not getting the job this time. But that's not stopping me from continuing to look for places that are hiring, and to submit my portfolio to as many folks that I know. Like, I am looking for a job. I made sure that I updated my website, my reel, my portfolio, and with that, I am just going to see any place that's hiring. Like if it looks like it's going to be helpful for me, I'm going to submit there. And if I don't get it, there's plenty of others. And I think that it's going to be humbling once you graduate, because I think that everybody is going to face some kind of struggle getting into the animation industry. It's competitive. It's difficult. There's a lot of jobs out there, but there's a lot of artists that are out there. So make sure that you just develop your portfolio and your brand as much as you can, because again, you're going to have a lot of opportunities to submit your documents over to studios, to executives, or even just to fellow artists. So make sure that that stuff is ready to go. And I think that that would help with your expectations when you leave, because at least you know, okay, I know I am looking good to a studio that I send this stuff to. Like, if you really make sure that your work is polished, it's going to be much easier for people to see your potential. So make sure that that stuff is ready to go. I can't say that my stuff was fully ready to go when I decided to leave my job. So that's what ends up happening. You learn from those experiences, but it's really all about if you want a job, you have to make sure that you stand out from the crowd and that you've updated all of your information so that people know, like, this is what your most current artwork looks like, because that's what employers are going to be looking for. So that's probably the biggest piece of advice I can give. Make sure that you're really ready, and that you're making your resume, your reel, and your portfolio a living document. You know, if you have a reel that's from 2 years ago, it's too old. You got to start a new one. So, yeah.
Yeah, that is all such great advice. This next question, it might be kind of repetitive since you just mentioned a lot of great advice, but what's one thing if you could go back in time and tell your graduating self, or like senior self, or like what advice would you give them?
Yep. Yeah, I expounded on a lot of that. So just to reiterate, if I were to tell myself 6 months ago something, I would be like, before you leave this job, make sure that you're prepared in terms of your portfolio and your art, because you're only going to you may submit it to studios and places that are looking for artists, but there's a lot of other people that are doing that, and you want to make sure that your stuff is top notch. I mean, you all know your artwork, and choose your strongest pieces to put into your reel, especially. Or if you're a storyboard artist, make sure that all of your best storyboards and your best panels are being presented. And you don't need to show everything, but just make sure that you know your strongest pieces and you're pushing those. That's going to be very important when people end up seeing your artwork, because if they have a certain style in the piece that they're trying to go for, or like their studio has a certain look, I mean, they're going to be interested to see what you can bring to the table. So push your strongest artwork, and make sure that you understand the first leap of faith isn't going to be the last. You've got your whole lifetime ahead of you, and that you're going to face some disappointments, but I mean, everyone does. So it's not going to be, some people get very lucky. Some people end up having success on their first try, but don't go in with that expectation. Make sure that you know that life and the world can be humbling, and the animation industry definitely fits both of those two. So yeah. But have fun too. Don't make it all about work.
Yeah, that's amazing advice. So, as a lot of us know, you were the recent director and creator of the film Kenya Symphony. How has that experience been now that you're on the film circuit run?
That film is just doing so well, and I never even wanted to submit it to a film festival before I finished it. I never thought about entering the festival circuit. I just wanted to create this piece, and it was something that really stood out to me. I worked at the symphony orchestra as an usher, and I based it off of an experience that I had. It was a work experience where I was at a concert one night, and a mom and daughter came into the symphony, and the daughter, of course, didn't want to sit down for a 2-hour orchestral concert. So I watched this little girl just do all kinds of craziness for the entire night. She was running up and down the aisles and bothering her mother. Like, her mother was really trying to listen to the concert along with the people that were in the crowd with them, and she just wouldn't have it. And I thought that that was going to be such a cool idea to base a short film on, because myself, I love movie soundtracks and orchestral music. I have been listening to that stuff for pretty much since middle school. I'm like a huge fan of that. And I decided that I wanted to make a film about music. And if I were to make orchestral music a little bit more accessible for audiences, I thought that that was going to be a home run, honestly. And I mean, of course, it's really showing itself that people they can sit down and watch a 5-minute film about something like that, and they are always commenting about the music. Michael Van Bodegom Smith did a wonderful job with the score, and him and we worked on that score for about a year. The process for creating the film was long. It took me close to 2 years to finish the whole short, and I ended up having a lot of friends who were willing to help out on the film, with art, with the music, with the sound design, and that sort of thing. I can't do all on my own, and so that's when the networking came into play, and that was really important. Now, as the film is finished and it's off to as many festivals as I can possibly get it into for the next year, it's really amazing to see the success of the film. Right now, it has been in 45 film festivals, which is it's a big number. It surprises me, and it's counting too. And I mean, it's won awards. I'm really proud of the film. I'm really proud of all of the artists who helped to create the film. But that experience of creating a short film while I was at Columbia, it taught me a lot about connecting with other people. I am not great with background design. I have never played a musical instrument. I don't know how to create sound effects. So those things I had to outsource. I had to find those people, those creatives who can actually do something and bring them into this project. I mean, and I think it taught me a lot about the importance of networking and having people that aren't doing the same thing as you. It's so interesting to meet other artists who have a different discipline, and they're really good at it, and you're just like, oh man, like they're gonna find success in their field one day, but maybe they can help me out on my project, on my personal project, like my baby, like that's that sort of thing. And it was these are friends that I still talk to this day, and it's working on a project together and having that camaraderie really showed me that people are approachable and people are willing to help you out with your projects if you just ask. And it can be fun for everyone, and obviously once you're done with the project, that's something that you all can share together. So it was really nice, and I'm glad that I ended up creating the film as it stands, because I was worried for a second there I wasn't going to finish. It was a lot of work in the very last semester, but it was ready to present by the wintertime showcase, and the success continues. So I'm really proud of the film, and I'm, like I said, really proud of everyone that worked on the project, and I thank everybody who worked on the project too. So if you're in the solo animation project, just because it says solo doesn't mean you can't have other friends help you out on it, because it may end up giving you a foot forward, and you can oftentimes create a film that you never would have expected.
Once again, amazing advice, and congratulations. It is a stunning film.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And speaking of like your directing experience, what's your dream job, and what are the steps you're taking to get there?
I would love to be a director or producer of animation. So that can be in TV or film. Those are the two places that I would really love to end up. And at the moment, that's what I'm striving to do in terms of making sure that I have a lot of proof in my portfolio that I can direct and produce. So I have Kenya Symphony, and I also was the producer of Buster and Jamson, the animation production studio class of 2020 film. So those two things were things I definitely put in my portfolio. And even after college, make sure that you are talking about things that you did while you were at Columbia. Because potential employers, they want to see that. They want to see that you did things while you were in college. And so with those two things being my mainstay, the things that I want to do, I'm trying to network with directors and producers, and also, like I said, talking about the things that I want to do in that field. So that's where I'm hoping to be, and I hope to create the Kenya Symphony animated series, which is something that I'm working on. It's a project that I have on the side. Like while I'm looking for potential jobs, I'm also staying busy with a personal project of my own, because if those of you want to create animated series or films and you want to do it at a studio, a lot of times you're going to get the opportunity to pitch series. That's what they want to see. No matter what field you're in, like if you're doing storyboards, or if you're even a voice actor or something of that nature, you're going to get that opportunity. So have a personal project on the side. And that's mine. I would love to create that series. And if so, I would want to be executive producer on that. So those are the two areas that I would love to see myself in, for sure, directing and producing. Yeah, and I feel like I've known that for a long time, so I'm still going at it.
That's, once again, great advice, and I can totally see you doing that job, and I'm so excited about the potential for the Kenya Symphony shorts. That's really cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I will let you know if I end up getting there.
Awesome. Well, that's all our questions. So thank you so much for coming and speaking with us. It was all really amazing advice.
Thank you so much, Helen, and thank you, Animation Association, for being here. Yes, and if you want to follow me on Instagram, my name is CJ Art. That's my art page. You can follow me there. Find me on Facebook. I'm also a member of the Facebook page for the Animation Association, so you can also find me there. But yeah, if you all have any further questions, or if you want to just show me what you're working on, you can reach out to me always. And also, my email is carlosdouglas78@gmail.com. So you can also reach me there. And I'm happy to speak with current Columbia students, and also just to speak with you all. And I think that this is a really big honor, Helen, for bringing me on here. And thank you all so much for the support, and keep coming to these Animation Association meetings. You all are already starting to build your network.